Now available for the first time in paperback. Stop Simping in the Workplace. Men, learn what you need to know in order to protect your job from workplace predators with Stop Simping in the Workplace. Available in paperback at online booksellers everywhere. A lot of times in service businesses, people will run into people who they believe to have an attitude on the job. And in these positions, such as working in retail, fast food, or customer service, a lot of times when people run into people who they believe to have an attitude, they will see it as just something related to the individual they are dealing with at the time and won't really see the bigger picture of why that person has that attitude in the first place. Many will sit there and generalize and say this person has an attitude due to the low wages that they're receiving, or they have an attitude because of the issues that they're having in their life, leading to them having to take this job. However, in many cases, this is not the case at all for that person having that attitude. No, as someone who has worked in many jobs in retail and customer service, I can tell you the real reason why that person has that attitude is basically because that person is reacting to a work environment where they're not receiving any leadership. Now, when it comes to the job market, and businesses, usually what happens with them is that these businesses are a reflection of the leadership, and the employees' behavior is a reflection of how they are being treated by the leadership in that company. Now, when it comes to these companies, a lot of times the leadership really doesn't do a good job of understanding what leadership is, and because they don't understand what leadership is, they basically mismanage their employees, and what we see as related to attitude is basically them reacting to that mismanagement because these employees are not receiving leadership and receiving a leader who will give them the things that they need in order to do the job. Now, a lot of people think that management is just going out here and just supervising employees, and that's not really effective in managing your staff because leadership is all about creating an environment where employees can go out here and receive things that will help them learn how to do their job and learn how to do their job effectively. And in many cases, what happens in many jobs like fast food, retail, and customer service, there is not much leadership. And because there's not much leadership, what happens is there's nobody looking to teach these employees and create an environment where they can receive teaching and guidance, and a person who would provide them a support system so that they have someone they can go to and talk to regarding different situations and problems on the job. Because one of the jobs of a person who is in a management or leadership position is problem solving, and sadly, because these individuals in many cases are afraid of conflict, they don't really go out here and help solve the problems that many of the employees have because these individuals are afraid of conflict. And because they're afraid of conflict and afraid of socializing with employees, what they don't do is go out here and participate in one of the most important things as related to leading employees, and is by creating and fostering an environment where they can feel safe about communicating with that manager. One, two, creating an environment where they can receive teaching and learn more about the craft of the job and learn more about the job. And three, have an environment where when problems arise, they can go to that person and receive instructions on how to solve the problem. And four, receive support if the problem is one that where they're dealing with a serious conflict. These are the things that basically lead to employees winding up becoming frustrated. And as those employees wind up becoming frustrated because they are not receiving that support, This is what creates all of the animosity in those employees that leads to those employees having the attitude that people perceive that they have. In a lot of cases, what leads to those employees having that attitude is again the lack of leadership that they're receiving. And in a lot of cases, these people exacerbate the problem by going out here and hostilely attacking the employee instead of taking this as an opportunity to give that employee teaching and guidance and also give them support. These are the things that employees need in order to be encouraged to do their job and do their job well. Moreover, when mistakes are made, these are opportunities to teach an employee so that they can learn how to solve a problem, one, and to know how to respond in a situation if there's a conflict. This is what a leader goes out here and does. They go out here and foster these moments where mistakes are made as related to teaching this individual so that they learn what to do when there's a problem, so they learn not to be afraid of conflict. And instead of learning how to be afraid of conflict, they learn that, okay, yes, problems arise on the job, but this is how we handle the problems on the job, not by getting emotional and getting upset, but by taking a critical assessment of the situation, remaining calm, and going and talking to people in a calm tone like I'm talking to you right now. This is how you solve the problem. You don't get emotional and start yelling at people, because when you yell at people, you basically start to build up their anxiety. They start to become uncomfortable, and instead of them thinking they can come to you and get a problem solved, what they do is look to avoid problems. And as they look to avoid problems, what happens is this creates an even worse problem, because instead of us acknowledging that there are problems that come up every day and coming up with a solution, what we have are people who look to do two dysfunctional things. One, they start to become frustrated about the job, and two, they start denying things, and then three, they don't come to you and look to you for guidance or leadership. They just hide problems, and it makes things even worse in the business. So that's why you see that person with an attitude, mainly because, again, not because the person is angry about something in their life. No, in many cases, they're frustrated because they're not getting that support from the management or the owners. And in many cases, these guys basically, when they try to go to them, they're dealing with extremely hostile responses as related to things, and it makes it where you're not looking to be able to get problem solved, because you're dealing with again, in some cases, an extremely angry person, and that angry person, again, in some cases, doesn't really create a good environment where the employees feel like they can go to be approaching their leadership. And that's not what you want in a workplace. No, in a workplace, one of the worst things you could have is a manager who has a closed door. That's one of the worst things you could ever have in a business, is a closed door, because a closed door means that that manager or that owner isn't open to sitting down and talking to their workers, and doesn't understand that talking to your workers is an essential part of leadership. Part of leadership is having an open door where your employees can come and talk to you, have a conversation with you regarding problems, and have a conversation regarding people. That's what a good manager does, because as you're leading your people, you want to be directly open to them. And I would go even further as a leader and say that you want to go out and be on the floor with your people and let them know, yeah, I'm here for you if you want to talk about things as related to the job, and if you want to learn about different aspects of the job, we're going to be here so that you can learn what to do. And this type of approach to management basically allows the employee to feel like somebody cares about them, somebody is supporting them, somebody's giving them guidance, and creating an environment where they can grow and learn and develop as related to their whole, not only their work skills, but develop as related to their interpersonal skills, and feel like, okay, I'm learning how to communicate in a professional manner because the person who I'm talking to is being professional with me. And as they're being professional with me, they are showing me that they're creating an environment which is all about learning and growing, because a leader at a company is not somebody who's just running the business. They are teaching skills as related to different aspects of the job, teaching different hard and soft skills, that will enable the employee to grow and enable the employee to grow and feel like, okay, I am learning in this job. I feel safe in this job as related to being able to get assessment and feedback as related to my work. And as I'm getting that assessment and feedback as related to my work, what I'm getting is a way to have an environment where I can learn and not feel bad about mistakes being made. That's what you want to foster in a work environment. But in many places like retail and customer service, there is no focus on creating leaders. It's all about looking to try to go out here and run these companies at a lower cost. And a lot of times they look to hire managers who cannot manage. And what happens is when you hire managers who cannot manage, you wind up getting employees who are frustrated, and those frustrated employees who get little training, little guidance, and little support. This is why you're dealing with the person who has an attitude, because a lot of times when these people come into a job at the interview, a lot of times people come in, they're warm and friendly and kind, but what happens is they wind up becoming demoralized. Wind up becoming demoralized due to the lack of support, and the lack of support that they get from managers and even other co-workers who have basically been burnt and jaded. This basically makes it where these people wind up getting an attitude because they really feel like they are not getting that teaching guidance and support. And even worse, you'll have some of these guys who are just so completely clueless as related to people that they'll sit there and really just destroy a good employee by saying something that's just completely insensitive. Because I remember in 2008 at my performance evaluation, as related to the City College of New York Science Library, this professor in his performance evaluation went out here, and as we were doing the performance evaluation, said he was looking for somebody with a sales and customer service background. Now, he knew that I was a writer in the past, and him making that statement was extremely disrespectful and extremely demoralizing, because you would not go out here and say to an employee who's out here doing a good job that you're looking for someone else. That's extremely disrespectful, and that's the type of weak leadership that many people run into in places like fast food, places like retail, places like many of the restaurants that you and I go to every day. And when you get hit with that kind of demoralizing statement by leadership, it can just basically destroy a person all around. And that's one of the reasons why you'll see somebody basically looking like they have an attitude when they're actually just reacting to hostility that's being directed at them. And you'll sit there and think, oh, that person has an attitude, but I want you to really think about how that person was treated by management. The next time you see an angry employee, I really want you to think about how that person is being treated, because the way that person is being treated is possibly the reason why you're seeing this person not be able to provide you with good service, because nobody's looking to serve that employee or take care of that employee's needs. And that really frustrates employees because they feel like they cannot get any sort of satisfaction or solution, because in a lot of cases when we try to go talk to a manager, they will direct anger at us, and that anger directed at employees makes it where they don't want to approach a manager because there's a door closed or the guy has an attitude and is just extremely hostile. And that is one of the reasons why you again see the person having what you think is an attitude, when what you're seeing actually is just a reflection of the incompetent leadership or the incompetent ownership of the person in that business. That's basically what you're seeing in a lot of cases, but you'll think that this is a person with an attitude, but a lot of times it's not a person with an attitude. A lot of times when people start these jobs, and they'll be on these jobs 6 months to a year, the person will be, again, professional and on point, but they run into situations with managers who are apathetic, indifferent, or even hostile, and that's where you see this person's behavior completely change. And that's what happens to a lot of employees. And I just want to make people aware of what's going on, because a lot of times what you see, which in these jobs as related to so-called attitude from workers, may not be because of the customers in a lot of these service jobs. Because when it comes to customers, a lot of times I'm finding that when I work these jobs, the customers were never really the problem. A lot of times when it comes to the customers, you could solve a problem, but when it comes to the management, they make things worse. They make things worse by going out here and hiding information from the workers, not really communicating effectively with workers, not really going out here and being able to solve problems, and not looking to give workers support as related to solving problems. And all of this leads to all of the frustration that you see as related to that attitude that you see out here. And while people would say, well, we want to fire that person because they have an attitude, no, what I want to do is find out what's going on with that manager or that owner, because the root of that problem with those workers is this person in charge. This person in charge is the reason why you have the problems with the workers. The reason why you have the problems is not at the bottom with the service worker, it's at the top with the leadership and the ownership of that company. Now, if you want to learn more about how to identify workplace predators and identify dysfunctional situations that can mess up a person's career in the workplace, you can pick up my book, Stop Simping in the Workplace, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find Stop Simping in the Workplace at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me make more videos talking about the workplace, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback at e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes' Illuminati. The man who rules the world takes on the head of the global elite in this all-new action-packed John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' Illuminati in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteem Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.